Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your fleet captain and host, Julian Brown, and yeah, just give me a second. I need more light. I need more ring light. I need it.
He's so prepped.
I'm always prepped. So much acting school. So many acting classes. Oh my God. Give me more light, people. Give me more vitamin D. Oh, that's better. Not that kind of D. As always, alongside me, the best bridge crew. This side. No, you didn't say. This side of Illyria, Lieutenant Commander Hawk and Captain Giraffe. Welcome back and welcome aboard. Vice Admiral Eric is off this week on leg 1 of his Faith of the Heart tour and will be back with us next week. But as you can see on our view screen, we have a very, very special guest joining us tonight. It's our friend Matthew Kaplowitz from Trek Untold. Welcome to the show. Finally, good sir, it is a pleasure to have you on finally.
Yes, I'm very excited to be here amongst all you guys. I know we had you on my show quite some time ago.
Yes.
And we got to talk all about podcasting, which was nice. So it's good to be out here socializing amongst the Trek folks because I am very isolated. I feel like in my little corner of the world. So I'm happy to talk to some more people.
Yeah, well, we have a great chat as always on our show, our Twitch chat, our Twitch collective joining us tonight. Keep your questions, comments coming all night long. Like you mentioned, Matthew came on the show maybe a little over a year.
I think you were on my show for it was like the Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah,
basically.
it was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. I know we'd been talking about maybe having you on for Discovery, and we made it work for Strange New Worlds. So happy to finally have you on. Let's first have you tell us a little bit about if people don't know where you're from. Trek Untold, great Star Trek podcast. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. Well, thank you. So Trek Untold is a weekly interview series where I speak with folks from across the Star Trek universe. So that could be character actors, stunt performers, directors, writers, behind-the-scenes crew like VFX people, or basically anything in between. If they've done something within the Star Trek universe, I will hunt them down, I will seek them, and I will talk to them. So I'm basically like the Hunter of Tosk, but for Star Trek people. That's the best way to do that.
I think it's funny. I think one of our collective members on Twitter may have asked you about interviewing the Ferengi actor from Discovery season 4, and you're like, spoilers, that's my next guest.
That was Anthony Lake.
Yeah, I think that's pretty incredible and awesome. So so cool. One thing that we always ask our guests is we put them on the spot a little bit. Your favorite Trek, your favorite episode, and your favorite character.
I mean, if you're not judged.
You will be judged. It's true.
Yes.
You'll be judged hard.
I mean, if you're not familiar with my podcast, you'll know that those questions are like softballs compared to the stuff I throw at my guests all the time. I mean, if I don't make a guest cry, I'm not doing my job. But yeah, these are actually tougher questions than you'd imagine for me, I guess, because they're always like, they're hard to answer because they're so open-ended. So it's more just like, what am I feeling like this week for it? So all right, let's start with the series first. Let's go at DS9, which is funny because like as a kid, nope, no thank you. I tapped out. As a kid, I kind of outgrew Trek, I say. Now I went back into it because I'm a smart adult. But when DS9 came around, I think it's kind of when I started to actually lose my interest in the series and then the franchise. But DS9 is my favorite, and that goes hand in hand with my favorite character, which would be Odo.
Nice.
And close second by Rom. Yeah, people are surprised when I say Odo, and I'm like, why? Odo's like one of the most interesting characters in the Star Trek universe in so many different ways, and just acted so brilliantly too by Renee. I mean,
so good, so good. What do you think about, before you move on to the next question? We've been talking early on in our spoiler talk on our Discord server. There's a bit of talk that that Hemmer is kind of like Strange New Worlds Odo. Do you see that? Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, if you're just counting him as being grumpy, then yeah. I mean, if that's your only qualifications of being Odo, as being a grumpy pants curmudgeon, then I guess. But I don't know if I see it much yet beyond that. I mean, he's got a sense of duty just like Odo has as well. I mean, I feel like there's definitely some character traits they pulled from him into him, but it's still too early, I think, to say anything like that. And I'm sure he's going to grow into his own character as we move along also. So maybe not quite Odo yet, but Odo-like. He's Diet Odo.
Nice. All right. I'll take that. And you did favorite Trek, favorite character, so favorite episode.
Yeah, that's like the toughest one because I don't know if I have an answer. And I feel like that answer has changed when other people have asked me that same question. So I think, yeah, it's tough to say because I want to say like a DS9 episode or something like that because there's some really, really great ones. Like especially if I could just squeeze them all into like one movie, I would say the first 6 episodes of season 6 of DS9, but I can't do that. That's unfair.
Is it unfair though? Is that unfair?
The first one that
Yes.
came into your mind when we say Star Trek episode.
I mean, basically, I kind of did the other way where I thought, like, if I was telling somebody what they should watch to be like the ideal version of Star Trek, the one I usually tell people to check out is Balance of Terror from the original series.
Ah, yes, you got a friend in me.
That's like giraffe. That's giraffe heaven right there.
Yeah, that is like the perfect episode, and just standalone outside as well. That's kind of I think an important thing for that episode is you don't need to know anything at all about Star Trek to get that one. It's just like the perfect amounts of just anxiety, of tension, even a social message within that episode too. Really good, and plus you got Mark Lenard in that one.
So
Brilliant.
Good. So good.
Just everything about that is brilliant, and just him alone raises the caliber of that episode. So that's I think if there's one I could rewatch again and again and enjoy, and also look at it critically as well as just enjoying it, like that is the one that I could spend probably hours watching again and again back to back.
Nice, that's a great choice. Balance of Terror is
really
so good.
He's a
There's
sorcerer
something
in
I
this
want
one.
to. Yes, there's something I want to say right now, and I can't, and it's.
I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I know you know. I just want to say real quick, welcome back to the chat.
What was that? What was that?
You know what that was. It's what Eric and I do all the time, and you get mad at us.
We're just talking wrestling stuff.
We're talking wrestling. Yeah, wrestling. Yeah. Galaxy Star Queen 77 on Twitch. Welcome back, by the way. I think you've missed a couple episodes. Good to have you back. I connected to this week's episode because of Hemmer. Yeah, this was a good Hemmer episode. Hemmer was featured. We're going to get all about it. So with that all being said, we are talking this week about light. Give us the light. We need more light. Ghosts of Illyria is an awesome Una-centered episode. Definitely pays homage, right, to very classic TOS episodes like Naked Time, and then TNG's Naked Now.
A lot of nudity.
Not in this one, though. I mean, well, the young Lieutenant Ensign that we all thought would be the first redshirt got a little naked, but he was the only one. There were some naked
close
people
to
on
having our
bodies.
first
So
red shirt.
close.
I know.
Listen, they did like 2 horny episodes already. They had to calm down for the third one.
Oh my god, just like give me one red shirt, man. One red shirt. It also, I feel like, pays homage to a couple of classic horror episodes of Star Trek mixed in there. It wasn't like terribly spooky, but there's some horror aspects in there. So we ask, how does number 1 handle this out of control pathogen on board the Enterprise while Pike and Spock are stranded on the planet below, getting a little cozy with each other? Maybe not. I think Giraffe kind of thinks so, but not really. As always, we're going to review it and break it all down. Giraffe, I was going to have you do because you're back up. Excuse me. You're back up to do the patrons, but is your jaw okay? You feeling good? Because I know you had to.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
You can do it, or should I do it?
I can do it.
You can do it. All right.
Yes.
You need to thank our awesome patron collective members at the Ready Room level and above.
So thank you, dear patrons. Thank you to Simon Steger, Jeffrey, Mariah Gossett, Magmag, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos, Kieran Gui, Haven, Takako Negumo, Kara Kennedy, Mark, Fernanda Nogales, SMK, Ian Davis, Amy Grace, Laura Lindemann. Come on. William Night Spray.
I think you still should just call him Reasonable Stranger if we're being honest here.
Reasonable Stranger.
There it is.
Smuttering.
Colin Davidson, Susie, Jesse Desmond, Aileen Davis, Chatterhand 2049, Jesco, MC Frodes, Maggie, Michael Graham, Alex Miller, Emily and Travis, and our newest collective member, Marianne Roth. Marianne Roth.
Marianne, I think it's Marianne, if I'm not mistaken, but it works. That list.
Thank you.
That list keeps getting longer and longer. So awesome. Thank you so much, patrons. You guys fucking rock. I do want to say real quick, if you heard the pod last week, I got COVID last Thursday. It's been a week, so I'm about a week behind on sending out my second round of patron stuff. So if you haven't gotten yours, hang tight. I'm really sorry. I will get your stuff out starting hopefully next week. Go ahead. Oh yeah, and Giraffe, you have a big announcement to make.
Next week is gonna be our patrons happy hour. And next month in June, we're gonna do our table read. So be ready. I will send you dates.
Yeah.
As soon as I can organize Hawk and Eric, I can send dates.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, if you don't know, silently in the background, Draft has taken over Patreon, which is awesome.
Yes, I'm the patron queen.
She is the patron queen. It's a big help. It's a big help to me. So, COVID update, I'm fine. Back to normal. I just don't have most of my smell and taste. Like, this beer is like apparently one of the best beers our local brewery has ever made, and I can't taste it.
Tastes like water.
Tastes like carbonated water. So it's a little sad. I thought I might be able to taste it. I can't. But thank you, everybody in the chat, for your well wishes and everything. It really means a lot. So that leaves it here. Matthew kind of gets to be the test bed, the first guest to do our new format. We're changing up the format of the show to see if you guys like it and to see if it flows a little bit better. So obviously after this, we'd like your feedback. Let us know what you think. We usually go into this portion now where we start a review of Ghosts of Illyria, which is what we're doing right now. And what we used to do is like give initial thoughts, right? And we get really ranty, and there'd be basically when we got to the questions we asked, it got a little bit like, okay, well, we kind of already covered all this. So I'm going to ask this instead. If everybody can give their initial, this should be like, everybody should take about 5 minutes max, and probably less than that, your initial spoiler-free thoughts on the episode. So if you're listening and don't want spoilers, you get a little bit of hints, and then you can come back later for the really spoiler bits. But we're going to go with our guest first. Matthew, as our guest, your initial spoiler-free thoughts on Ghost of Lyria. What did you think of this one?
If you like Supernatural, if you like Scooby-Doo, if you like Murder, She Wrote, and you like Star Trek, then there's Ghosts of Illyria. That's a spoiler freeze I'm going to get. I need spoilers.
I like it. No, I like
my delicious, delicious spoilers.
I like it. Let's do it.
Did you like it?
Yes. Did you like the episode?
Well, that's a spoiler, isn't it? If I say I did it or didn't, right?
No, you don't give like information on the
No,
plot.
like you don't need to give details, but like, did you like the episode? What aspects of it did you enjoy without completely spoiling it?
I liked it for elements that I cannot yet discuss.
Committed. I fucking love the commitment so much.
Will not break me.
Will not break you, dude.
I will not talk.
I don't think we've had a guest so committed to holding the line. I love it. Hawk, your initial spoilers or your thoughts on Ghosts of Illyria.
It was a good episode. I'm wondering, I don't know if it was a great episode or, just a really good episode, but I super enjoyed it. Obviously this week's standout character was Una Chin Riley, and it succeeded in showing why she is the number one in all of Starfleet. I think we can all agree on that. And she was effortlessly engaging throughout the whole episode. Love that little misdirection at the beginning, but that might be spoilery. I know that, we've brought up like how it reflected Naked Now, Naked Time, and that. There's another classic TNG episode in that I thought was a bit of it referenced a little bit. Unnatural Selection from season 2 in that, when Dr. Pulaski contracted that virus from the Darwin Darwin Research Institute.
They all get super old.
Yeah.
From the genetically altered children.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I guess Starfleet's attitudes towards genetically altered people started to change a little bit towards them.
A little bit.
Sorry.
But they again, like as an episode that just had a start, had a finish, and that it fired on all cylinders, and that it made great use of all the crew again. Another great episode, and that I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, Giraffe.
So I like the episode, to be honest, but I'm starting to be, how can I say that? The thing I love in TOS are starting to annoy me in Strange New Worlds. So I don't know how this is going to hold for me, to be honest.
Juicy.
You said juicy take, hot take. Or as our friends on Star Trek Discovery Pod would say, it's a hot freak.
Oh, yes. So I don't know. I have to see because, I love TOS so much. TOS is TOS. Like, I like the fact that they're like spinning on TOS things, but you're not TOS. Don't be TOS.
Aren't they?
Be something else.
They TOS before TOS was TOS, making it even more TOS?
No, because it's 2022, so they cannot do 60s TV for
I disagree
2 full seasons. It's like be your own thing too. Like so far, it's like I like the fact that they went, the naked time, but to be honest, naked time is still better. So I don't know. I like the episode. I think that it's becoming a little bit on the nose with everybody has trauma. So I'm waiting and see.
All right.
Interesting take, because I personally believe Naked Now is a better Naked Time.
I agree that Naked Now is better than Naked Time as well.
On.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree with Hawk.
Waste of Tasha Yar.
Waste of time? What? She sleeps with Data. They get
Absolutely.
Get it on.
He's fully functional.
What the hell?
That's the only thing that's really worth talking about in that episode, though, because otherwise I would have to agree with Giraffe there. Yeah, TOS did it better.
Thank you.
Damn you.
TOS did it better.
And I should add,
Thank you.
Even though I did mention Balance of Terror is like probably one of my favorites of all time, like one of the best ones for me. First season is very good at TOS, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. It's probably middle for me in terms of Star Trek love. But yeah, I mean, as far as Contagion episodes go, like TOS did it pretty damn good.
And Naked Time has my favorite line of Star Trek ever, which is "Sorry, neither."
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
A lot of great things. Plus, it gave us the wonderful, hardly meme, but should be meme more often of Kirk walking onto the bridge, tears his shirt down, gets himself his shot. Like that's the attitude we should have had in 2020,
right? There was a shirt tear in this episode.
Yeah.
Una,
that's totally reference to it. That's absolutely reference to it. But then see, now we're getting the spoilers already. I was trying to not get us there, and here I am now ruining it.
The chat is saying #Giraffe is right.
Hey, so I have a couple of supporters on there too. I got Joe. I'm with Julian, and I just want to say we get the hot Beverly and get out of here. Get out. We get the Beverly Jean-Luc like hotness in the ready room. This is a great take from Yum Yum Pod. This episode reminds us of the one, which is a great episode of TNG, by the way, where Geordi transforms into that weird creature. Yeah.
Oh, I know that one.
The light creatures and his old crewmates.
Yeah.
Oh, I have two supporters. Haven's on my side too. Bam.
Haven.
And Hawk. Hawk agrees too. So it's the team Hawk Julian. I like.
If everybody comes on my side, I will give you all brownies.
Ooh.
We count on one side.
I like brownies. I'll raise brownies and give you beer.
Team Giraffe. This is the only winning team ever.
No, it's live.
We're Team Giraffe Untold. That's what we're gonna do.
Ooh, Giraffe Untold. I like it.
Giraffe's defecting to Trek Untold. Yeah. You heard it here first. So I really enjoyed this episode. It's actually my favorite episode of the season so far. That took a few watches for me to realize. I really love this episode though. I have to give a big shout out to the VFX team, because the VFX for the few shots that we got outside and then the stuff on the planet was all really just beautiful and well done. Like there's a moment of spoilers that we'll get into later that I want to talk about.
Eric pointed out to me that all the scenes filmed down at the Illyrian home world and that were actually filmed at Ontario Place.
Yeah, that's right. Ontario Place in Toronto, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I've actually been there, which is pretty cool. So
have you?
Yeah, I've been to Toronto twice for soccer. So I love Toronto. Awesome set design this week too, with both what we get to see with Sick Bay, and this is a spoiler, but it's not going to go into the details we're going to talk about. So I will mention that this Enterprise, and Giraffe keeps texting me like every day, how big is this fucking ship? That the Enterprise
have you seen these quarters? How big is that ship?
The Enterprise has an auxiliary med bay, because I remember when we were breaking down the trailers, I'm like, that can't be the Enterprise sick bay. That's way too big. But dude, they just open up like a big room above them. And it's like, another sick bay. Okay, I'll take it. I think that's really cool. But the set design, like the lower decks quarters were really cool.
They're really big on diagonals.
Yeah, very big. With
not necessarily the most efficient in architecture, but I guess it's good for supporting weights and stuff.
Sure.
I don't know, but it looks cool.
It works.
In a place where there's no weights because it's space. So
yeah.
I don't know. Oh, no, on the planet, I'm not following.
No,
Everything is very slanty. Every single piece of architecture we've seen on the Enterprise so far, it's very diagonal.
It's the future.
It's the
future. Apparently the future, there's no squares anymore. You just can't walk through a door. All the doors now are shaped like parallelograms.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
It's true. So
even the jambalaya is a parallelogram.
Oh my god, this is awesome. I absolutely just adore this episode. The more times I watch it, actually, I feel like it gets better the more times you watch it. I think Rebecca Romaine, if you've been following her career, you know, whether she was a model to being an actor, Mystique and X-Men, I think she gives one of her best performances as an actor in this episode. I think she was fantastic. I think, like I said, like in you know what we were going to talk about this week, it's just a great homage to TOS and TNG, to episodes not just Naked Time and Naked Now, but you know others as well. I just feel like I had a whole big long thing I was going to write, and it's oh no, here it is. I love the big reveal at the end. It's beautiful and it's heartbreaking, and we're going to get into that later when we talk about Dr. Mbenga. It just has like
the definition of spoiler is
no,
like
I didn't say what it was, right? So we're going to get there. So it
We're
just
in
has
the neutral zone
it
still.
has all the beats I think that make for a great episode of Trek, and I absolutely adored it. So with that being said, if there's no more
happy
initial
birthday
whose birthday?
to Galaxy
Queen.
Happy
Star
birthday!
Queen.
Do I have any fun sound bites for birthdays? Let's see.
Happy
That
Color
would-
or Joy Day.
That would not be nice. I shouldn't do that one. No. I
Push
gotta have
one like
something.
randomly and see what's up.
No. I could do Star Trek and be really mean, but I think that Galaxy Star Queen would like it because it's Star Trek and it would be funny. So I'll just play this one as a joke, and you know, because we're all getting older.
Time is a luxury you don't have.
There you go. Happy birthday, Galaxy Star Queen.
Happy birthday.
Time is a luxury you don't
And that was the moment that Galaxy Star Queen unsubbed.
Unsubbed from the Twitch. I did it. I hope you appreciate it, Galaxy Star Queen. Let's get into this episode. Spoiler time. So if you are here and you don't want any more spoilers, I say to you,
Red alert! All hands to battle stations.
get the hell out of here. It's spoiler time. Let's talk about the cold open of this episode first. We start with Enterprise arriving at Hediment 9, an abandoned Lyrian colony, which number one tells us about this very welcome return. We've been talking about it, or I've been talking about it every single week. Weekly logs from not just the captain, from cadets, from ensigns, from God, the chef. We'll probably get one from Chef that'll turn out to be Jonathan Frakes. It'll be awesome.
Pecan pies.
The away team is stuck on the planet because this massive fucking ion storm that looks like it's going to eat the planet is interfering with the transporters, and there's also something else obviously going on. Ensign Lance gets infected with a pathogen that will later then ravage the Enterprise, but we get that cool snake sound effect from Naked Now and Naked Time. And Spock and Pike get stranded because, you know, Spock and research. Man, that guy loves research. As far as cold opens go,
Dude cannot be left alone. Stop leaving him alone.
Stop leaving him alone. Stop it. Just stop. As far as cold opens go, guys, pretty exciting one. What do we think will go in the same order? Matthew, start with you. Your thoughts on the cold open.
I guess I was a little cold from the start, to be honest. It's a good choice of words. I don't know. I guess as we'll get into this episode a little bit more, this one did take some time for me to kind of warm up to this one. So the opening kind of just, teased at the possibilities of some things. And on my first viewing, it actually got me a little bit nervous because I'm like, well, what are they going to do here? We're getting some kind of like spoopy ghost story right now. Wasn't quite sure how I felt yet. So at that moment, on my first glance, I was still kind of like, we're going to see what happens with this one. Getting a little worried. And to be honest, one of my also first thoughts was like, I hope they're not doing a Naked Now or Naked today, whatever it was. I was already like sensing that was impending.
Little did you know.
Little did I know.
Nice.
Kind of.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Kind of the same reaction. I was wondering where we go. I kind of got the impression again. I didn't know how they were going to proceed with a plague episode from this, but yeah, pretty standard cold open in that. So it took a little while for me to get into it, just like Matt.
Giraffe.
Okay, come on. It's like I see people. I live by the ocean, and I see people like there's a storm, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go on the beach. Like, really? You gotta go on like the abandoned colony? The moment when there's a ginormous storm, ginormous. It's eating the place, and it's like, I think it's a good time to go check that out. I was like, come on. And then, sure enough, they lost Spock because nobody told him to, not get the fuck away in a place where they have no communication. And apparently he's a Vulcan, but he didn't compute that. We're in the library. Like, oh, come on. And
why would you try and take Spock away from the library? What's wrong with you?
Because there's a giant storm that's going to eat
He
your
doesn't
face.
give a shit about the giant storm.
That's a good. Oh yeah, he was like run. I was like, oh yeah. Now you give a shit, huh? And then when I saw like Ensign Lance like touching stuff, I was like, oh good, Starfleet still has no protocol for anything. And to be honest, at the beginning when they were like in the like broken place, I was like, flying murder pancakes?
Yeah.
Murder flying pancakes? Like that made me think of this so much. I was like, are we gonna fuck with Samuel Kirk again? And then I realized he was not there, so I was like, I guess he was not gonna die again. But
Kirk could be the new O'Brien.
Oh, absolutely. I was like counting on him being like smacked in the face by something again, but no luck. And then there was like, and I was like, fuck them, they're doing the naked now. I was so ready for the flying murder pancake. So ready. And then I was like, okay, be careful what you're doing, because this is an important episode. Yeah. So same. I was like, wait and watch. Wait and see.
All right. On Twitch, we have some great comments. You and Who's Amy, quote unquote, a lightning storm in space.
Yeah, right.
MC Frodis, because we've been talking about this since like 9 a.m. this morning. How does he survive? I was wrong. He wasn't Ensign One Direction. He was Ensign Misdirection. I need red shirt death. And you,
we're not getting any.
I'm starting to think that. Ensign Timothy
I told
Chalamet
you,
nearly doomed them
Did
all.
look like Timothy Chalamet.
You remember at the
Timothy
beginning, it
Chalamet
was like,
knockoff.
oh, red shirt are going to die. I was like, this is new Trek. They're not going to kill red shirts. They're going to kill the beloved bridge officer that they put there for 3 episodes. And then everybody's like, die from a flower or something. That's
We'll see.
What's going to happen.
We'll see. We'll see.
Very bad allergies.
Yep, exactly. I like the cold open. It got me ready for the episode, but then again, I'm a stan on this episode, so I thought it worked. I love that Spock is just like completely fucking clueless, because of course he's got like a cylinder that has funny text on it. Of course he's not going to have a damn clue about what's going on. It's Spock. I think this happens right before the credits start, but I like Una's and we're going to talk a lot about Una. I like her hesitancy when she grabs the chair. She knows that she's going to be in command and she's got to figure this thing out. And she grabs it and then kind of hesitantly sits in the chair. And I like the musical beat right before the credits go. And when it's just like the little like ding, 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 that Starfleet theme that we all know and love. Great little moments there. I like the cold open. It got me sucked in. I was ready. Una. This is Una's episode. Everybody's had an episode so far. Episode 1 was very much like, Pike, and then getting to know the new bridge crew members. Last week was Uhura and Sam Kirk's mustache. This week, it's Una. Back aboard the Enterprise, things get, as we've already mentioned 1,000 times, and we're going to mention 1,000 times more, get very naked time, super quick. Ensign Lance, a.k.a. Ensign Chalamet, busts himself open for some vitamin D. Ortegas has a great line or something like, whatever squeaks your tweak or something like that.
Whatever tweaks your freak.
Whatever tweaks your, it was a great line. It was a great line. I love that.
Never forget that line now.
No, great line. I made a gif of it.
I look forward to using it in everyday discussions.
Yes. He needs to get some vitamin D. Things get weird with Una. We obviously do know by the end of the episode that she is an Illyrian and her body fights off the crazy light infection. But when you first saw this moment and she gets all glowy red, what were your thoughts? Intrigue, speculation?
I mean, I just assumed it was just the virus doing its thing or something. Like I said, it's definitely one of those episodes that it requires a good rewatch to kind of see all the little things that happen. But for me, I just thought, like, having not seen anything else happen yet, I just figured maybe that's just her first getting hit with the virus.
Yeah.
Same. I initially thought it was the virus, but then, kind of weighing it against like what happened with the first ensign and that, because there was no, weird glowy effect in that. And I was like, okay, alien, since we're dealing with ghosts of Illyria, it has to be some sort of like possession thing that,
that's what I thought too.
Trek trope. But then as it progressed and she was in sickbay and that, she seemed as genuinely curious about what was happening and that as everybody else. And I was like, this is not the reaction of somebody who's possessed. So,
Unless she was super possessed.
Exactly. She doesn't even know she's possessed.
So possessed you don't know it. It's true.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I knew she was an Illyrian from Enterprise War. You know?
Oh,
So I was
yes.
like,
Spoilers.
okay. Yeah. Sorry. Read that book. It's very good.
It's been out for like a year and a half, 2 years. If you haven't read it,
Yeah, it's
on
like
you.
when I say something about TOS and they're like, spoilers, it's been out for 56 years. Get out of here. It's not a spoiler.
Well, it was,
yeah.
I was looking. I was DC Fontana wrote a novel in '88 about and included her in that and basically confirmed.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that either. That's awesome. Do we know what the name of the novel is?
I had it before. I don't.
Number one in the very bad, miserable, unhappy day.
I don't even know that.
I know.
And
I'm a little bit ashamed.
A metric ton of TOS novel over there.
I mean, there's like
everywhere.
Millions of those books, right? So it's easy to kind of forget a title.
Oh my God, I have so many. And sometimes, you know, I just like look and I was like, that's a very stupid title. I don't remember reading this one. I read this one. And then I was like, oh yeah, fuck, I read this one. So, what were we saying? Oh, we're looking for the book still?
I'm looking for the book.
Hawk's looking for the book, but you can keep going about Una and what you thought here.
Yeah, I know she was an Illyrian, and like when Ancine Chalamet starts like being all weird, I was
What's his
like,
name now?
Oh,
he's not getting another name.
It's gonna be all like, you know, naked timey, but they're just like the light. I was like, come on, like nobody makes a joke about the vitamin D, like nobody really. It's like 2 previous episodes were like the horniest episode ever, and they're just like after the light, I was like. But when she glowed red, I thought she was like gonna become something else. So I was very excited. And then she rips her shirt off, and I was like, "Yes, Kirk." So, do we know? Are they just shitty shirts, or is Kirk super strong?
Okay, you got to know from Star Trek Beyond with how many of those he has in his closet that they are just super cheap, replicated garbage. I think we all know that. Hawk's got the name of the book.
All right, 1988's Vulcan's Glory, written by.
I read this one.
Yeah, it was established that number 1 was an Illyrian.
Yeah, nice. It's a dumbass one. It's a good one, but I mean, it's an 80s Trek novel, so sometimes you're like, what the fuck am I reading? Why?
Yeah,
why are you taking a shower?
I initially thought possession. I thought that like this was more than just like a vitamin D thing. It was going to be, you know, like kind of like what we saw near the end of the episode, like when the things like protect Spock and Pike. Like I thought that this was going to be like an Illyrian possessing her and trying to like spread the word about like what happened to them. Obviously that was the B plot. I want to read MC Frotus' comment real quick. She said that she was a human raised by Illyrians in Enterprise War, which is not a very good lie, which is accurate.
And once again, Starfleet doesn't check.
Yeah, no DNA test. I was talking to Bill about this. I was talking to Bill from Trek Geeks about this because you kept telling me that. I was like, yeah, Draft is bringing up the whole like no DNA testing thing. He's like, she's got a really good point.
Like, I mean, if you have a whole thing about forbidding genetic transformation or whatever they call it, and it's so important and it's so prime to everything you do, you don't test your cadets, like. And I thought they had like the DNA pattern and stuff, like to recognize them when they crash the shuttle to know who they were or something. I mean, like when their initial dampeners like smash you against a wall and you're like puree, like they don't recognize you by your DNA. Like, what's this? Like, I have so many questions.
Simple blood test when she signs up for Starfleet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Like, right? You would think they would do that, right?
Or even if she had, at some point in her career had visited the medical bay.
Yeah, but she's super strong and stuff. She's never sick. So, I mean, why not? But again, see, that's what I was saying. These kind of plot holes in like TOS, I'm like, this is so dumb. But like right now, I'm like, come on.
I don't know. It didn't end up bothering me though. Like I bought it. I buy into it. Like Star Trek doesn't always give you the best answers for character backgrounds. They had never started well. They're not going to start now in 2022.
Yeah, though they can check like kids
Listen,
from all over the Federation.
Listen, all I'm
know,
going
like,
to
the
say
plot.
is that in season 1 of Discovery, both of Michael's parents were dead, and all of a sudden we got Gabriella Burnham in season 2, and then she's in the Kuat-Malat in season 3.
That is tradition.
I know.
You're not then in Star Trek until you came back.
I'm just saying, backstories change and get all screwed up in Star Trek since the dawn of time.
I will make an argument though, in that the TNG episode Drumhead in that dealt with a character in that who hid his paternal Romulan grandfather heritage.
Yeah, grandfather. Yeah.
But there's a good answer to
Vulcan.
that. Okay, but there's an even better answer to that too. Starfleet would have nothing to base the Romulan genome off of because they've never gotten a Romulan blood sample before. Just saying, it's true.
In TNG?
Yeah, in TNG.
In TNG,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he has pointy earish, like, so they were like, Vulcan.
Actually, I would have to
like,
double check that because a Romulan dies aboard the Enterprise, and I'm sure Beverly
yeah, that's why it was like in the Defector.
The Defector, yeah.
And it's before that episode.
Yeah, but that guy would have been in Starfleet before that.
That's also a good point.
Yeah.
See? Plot holes.
Totally unrelated and shameless plug. I actually had that actor on my podcast who played that. I think it was Ensign Tarsis.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's Tarsis. Yeah,
nice.
Spencer Garrett. He's on my show way back. So if anyone wants to hear from him, because he was in Star Trek.
I have one question.
Twice. So yeah, he has a whole bunch of stories and a lot of really cool stuff.
I have one question because we never know what the fuck happens to him in the episode, and that always bothered me. So like, if you ever see him again, ask him what happened.
Did you ask him?
Tarsis.
I think I did. I think I might have actually, but I don't remember because that was a long time ago. But
because like at one point everybody forgets. Yeah, everybody forgets about him, and everybody's like, "Oh, Picard is doing a speech." I was like, "I want to know what the fuck happened to the ensign. Was he like, what happened to him?" Nobody cares. TNG.
He went to Never Heard From Again land.
Yep. The best Star Trek land. Let's visit sometime. Una starts doing her research into the Illyrians, and we immediately plot device on walks in the connection with Khan. So we've been wondering, right, since the very beginning, since we heard the name Khan Noonien Singh, what her connection to Khan would be. And interestingly, she knows who Khan is, knows her ancestry, and absolutely despises, or at least we think so right now. That could change. Everything about augments, everything about what Khan did, what, I'm forgetting the name of the wars. The eugenics wars. So this is an important scene with them. What did we think about getting those first, kind of bits about her, La'an's backstory and heritage? And do we think that might end up leading into some stuff with augments and Illyrians later on?
Go because I'm gonna.
Yeah,
rant
no, Matthew.
For
Yeah,
minutes.
we're going in the same order. Yeah, you ran. Yeah.
I would assume yes. There's really no subtlety here. There's not really anything else I can say. It's like clever or smart or witty. It's more just like, yeah, obviously they are, because it's Strange New Worlds. They have, they've got at least a little bit more subtlety than Discovery does, but they're still, not so much. So I don't think we're gonna see any other augments besides her. I'm pretty confident, or at least so. Again, I guess you never know. They can do whatever they want. It's Star Trek. But I mean, we're not gonna see, like, they're definitely not gonna run into the Botany Bay. Like, I don't think that's gonna ever happen.
Botany Bay.
I heard that before.
Buried alive.
So they'll do something at some point with someone, and what the heck, why not?
Just so they can scream "La!"
It's true. You and Who's Amy calls the whole scene plot Noonien Singh. Yes, with an apostrophe Hawk.
I don't know if it's something we're gonna return to in that. I think it was mostly just a kind of a plot device to talk about, like, the kind of biases that people still hold in that, because even Dr. Mbenga says, it's like, bigotry, has never really left us in that. We reached the stars and we found new bigotries in that. So I think this was more just out of concern for the episode that we're dealing with this stuff than it going forward and being, important to upcoming episodes.
All right, rant away, Giraffe.
Okay, so first of all, they finished Picard with like fucking like Khan file, and I'm like, okay, I see you. I know. And then there's like Lon Union Singh, and I was like, okay, I see you, Star Trek. I know what you're doing. But like, they're just like shoveling the thing in our face. Like episode 3, they come in. mind you, there's a fucking pandemic on the ship, and they're like, "Oh, so your great grandfather was
Is
a mass
Benedict
murderer."
Cumberbatch.
It's like, yeah, I knew everything about him. You didn't change your name? Like, nobody in that line of people for forever times in like 400 years or whatever never went like, you know what? We should change our names.
You know what, though? That's a thing with people, though. Like, people want to bring pride to a otherwise sullied name if they have it, and sometimes people keep them.
No, but she says, like, oh, I've been bullied. It was horrible to have this. Just change your name. Like, end of it. It's Starfleet. You could be like, hello, I'm Duck Duck B. And people are like, hello, welcome. We're never going to check who you are anyway.
Peanut Hamper is a great example of that.
You guys ever see the documentary Meet the Hitlers?
No.
No, but now I want to.
Okay, yeah, it's basically it's a documentary that follows around people. I think not all, but I think a lot of them are living in Germany whose last name is Hitler. I think there's actually one that they cover in America, and it's just it's modern times, and their last name is Hitler, and like they're not even related to who, but it's it kind of just reminded me of that. So it's kind of like again like why wouldn't Lon do something different? I mean, it's like they're hiding that she is this thing anyway, right? So it's like why not try to hide it a little bit more, maybe.
My main problem is that in TOS, they're like, oh, we lost all information about these people because the eugenic wars and Third World War and so on. But like, mind you that they were like literally descendant 15 years ago that were like roaming, and like Una knows. So all information is clearly not lost. But we know Spock lies anyway. So like being like, I've never heard about these people. I'm gonna do some research. Like, fuck off. So I'm less worried about this. They're gonna spin it in a way that Spock doesn't remember or has sworn off to ever say anything. But the thing is, like, I don't understand why it's here now instead of except for the fact that Augment are gonna show up. Like, a lot of people that are new to Trek are watching this, and I feel they're just like saying them. So by the way, there's a thing, it's called Augment, and they're black people, and they're very, very strong, and they're very, very engineered, but Illyrians are not the same people. Okay, don't mix them up. We'll be back later.
MC
Brent Spiner needs the work.
Oh, sorry.
MC. Yeah, no, sorry. He does need the work. I agree. Go ahead, Hawk.
Before we go, for some reason, with when you were talking about changing your name, it brought me back to when Chandler tried to convince Joey to change his name to Joseph Stalin for his stage name.
He's like, who's that? That's a great idea.
No idea.
That's a great idea. Oh, I love Friends. MC wrote, well, hasn't La'an changed her name? She's only going by La'an Noonien. So no, that was, I think, a weird mistake by Chapel in this episode, because in the pilot, she introduces herself as Lieutenant La'an Noonien Singh, and then Chapel in this episode says, Lieutenant Noonien, blah, 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 and didn't say Singh. But then, this isn't a spoiler, she's obviously in the next episode. She's referred to as Lieutenant La'an Noonien Singh. So I think it was a weird mess up there. So no name change. I think it's obvious, right? Like what Giraffe said, and I don't have a problem with it. I like to explore it as long as we don't see like the bodies and we don't see the Botany Bay. I like exploring it a little bit more. Khan's a great character, and if they are reviving, I know it's been talked about in the chat, the SETI Alpha 5 series, this is a great way to bring back hype for Khan. So I dig it. I could be on board with it. Yeah, no, I like it. I hope we get more. I hope that like La'an and number one and Una go on like a weird augment adventure. That could be fun. Go ahead, read what you're gonna read.
Yum pod on the chat. Kirk, Spock, why didn't you mention serving with one of Khan's relatives? Spock, it was classified, like my sister. Your sister? And that's like, I mean, at this point,
it's true.
I don't know why people are mad about Spock not saying stuff.
No, it's true.
Doesn't say stuff. It doesn't spoil.
It's
See?
true. He doesn't. No,
he's holding the line.
He's holding the
He
line.
went
Like
years
Matthew.
without talking about his brother, right? So what's the difference?
Which
Let's not forget that's been canonically established. If there's anybody out there who's like sticklers, Spock is canonically not going to talk about anything unless you really poke and prod him, and even then, you probably won't get much.
the House of Sarek has just is so fucked up.
Goddamn ordeal.
It's a whole ordeal. I said it earlier. I think this is Rebecca remains one of her best performances ever. She's so good in this episode. We get to see her be kind of like Detective Una in this episode, which is really cool. She not only helps figure out the problem with Uhura's help, by the way, Uhura coming in clutch again, stops Hemmer from jumping into a piece of the planet's core, which was a great little horror moment. Like his eyes, man, his eyes were crazy. It was so cool. And then La'an wanted to cook herself in the warp core and possibly destroy the ship in the process. Like, what did we think about Rebecca Remain kind of getting to like flex her muscles and get to see this character that had what, like 5 lines of dialogue in the cage, get fleshed out?
I like that they did so much with her and that she got to do so much. But it's kind of funny you mentioned that whole fight scene with Lon, because that was like bad for me. Like I was excited at the prospect of seeing these two face off, and I was like, wow, it's gonna be like Ali versus Foreman. No, it was not good. And like I like the homage they did to like the original series fight scenes, where how they'd get like the super wide shot to kind of like hide the doubles. But the problem is, it looks like they didn't really use doubles, so it was just the two actresses doing it, and not so great fight scene. Choreography was a little rough, very sloppy. They didn't really hide a lot of stuff. Like that's one of the things I'll be a stickler for. I know there's a lot of folks there who are like all about the continuity and the tech and that kind of stuff. I'm watching the stunts and the fight scenes because that's like my area of interest, and this was not a well choreographed little fight, in my opinion.
I feel like this is where Brittany would come in and talk about Tom Hiddleston and his horrible fight choreography and how bad it is in Loki, because she would bring that up all the time. That's a great point, Matthew.
That's what I was saying by like, I can see that they're kind of mimicking 60s fights. Like in the first episode, you could see like the same kind of like, and it's charming in TOS because it's 60s TVs, and fair enough, and I love it, and it makes me laugh every time that Kirk does like a weird stuff like Kirk Fu or whatever, or jump on the wall and like whatever. Like I'm a sucker for this. Bomber. I love it, but seeing it here, I'm just like, oh, come on.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And I understand that they're trying to do this nostalgia thing, and I mean, I'm the primary target for this, like loving TOS, but this is not TOS. Like it's another show. Do your thing. We're used to seeing like these incredible fight scenes. Do it. It's not Trial and Tribulations, like for real. just do modern stunts.
I thought sorry, Hawk, I know you want to go. I just want to say, like, I know a few people said during the first episode that the fight in the elevator hallway was like super TOS and super old school, but like, I don't know. And Matthew, you're the choreography guy. Like, I thought that was a pretty modern fight scene. Like, it hit all the points for me.
There was a lot of physical throwbacks to the original series, but I think it's also the first episode, so they're kind of probably still trying to figure out what they wanted to do. And I would imagine, in the back of their mind, I mean, I don't know who choreographed that episode, who was the stunt director for that one. I would imagine a lot of that too. It's like, it's first episode, they got to kind of go big. This time around, they were kind of relying, I think, on the wonder of the set, because here we are fighting in front of the warp core. It's a really cool set, so we're going to really show that off. But I mean, if you really look at it again for this episode, I mean, there's a lot of cuts also. And there's a lot of abrupt jump cuts within how it's structured. So like, they're really trying to hide stuff.
Fair.
And at least to me, like it's kind of noticeable, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm being like nitpicky here, but it is jarring, some of the cuts, and just the setup, the structure of the fight itself. I mean, like one of the things that bugged me was like when Una like did basically a hip throw to Lon, and it just looked really sloppy, really bad. Like she took that bump really awkwardly.
I love how you just used that wrestling term, like totally nonchalant. Just put it right in there.
And then, Una gives a potato to La'an at the very finish there. Gives her a receipt, if you will.
Yep.
And same thing too. Like that punch just looked, yikes. Like, no, just none of it felt real. None of it really clicked for me.
All right.
Wow. I had
I'm not as professional, and I see it like, I mean, it's obvious to me, and I know nothing about fight scenes. So, okay. Sorry, Hawk, go defend them.
I had just had a really different reaction to it. First up, this was Una's episode, and spoilers, she was my crewman of the week, obviously. She basically playing like super mom to a bunch of drunk children in space and cleaning up messes, trying to solve a mystery. As far as the fight scene in that, it was more to direct us towards the fact that, like, you know, she is an augment in that, because, you know, the way she picked up Hammer, I was thinking, what the heck? You know, she's carrying around this somebody like this.
That very clear dummy, yes.
And even Nurse Chapel
With
says,
no ass.
how in the hell are you carrying him like that? The fight scene with Loud was not so much to be a fight scene in that. It was basically to get a drunk child away from a dangerous console, and, you know, so that they didn't like harm themselves in that. And I thought they did it well in that. I mean, Leon went through that punch in that. It's more like a way between the edit and the sound effect in that, but like, yeah, the way the punch came in and she just grabbed it and that, it's like, just stop it. And the way she continually threw her back against that, like I said, this was just harm reduction. It wasn't meant to be like a John Wick or anything like that. You know, this was just trying to get a hold of a drunk child and keep them from blowing themselves up and that. And I think if you go back and look at it from that perspective, like, she's not trying to hurt her, she's really just trying to calm her down. I think it changes the tone
by punching her in the face. That's how you calm down a drunk child. That's right.
Yeah, and if anybody ever goes into Star Trek expecting John Wick, they will be sorely disappointed. But I think I will add on that too. I think this could be, I guess, kind of a big thing, because this is, I don't think, going to be the last time those two meet with each other. Not even this season. I get the feeling there's going to be more coming. Those fights will be better. So it's like, for now. But if this was meant to kind of like whet our appetites for it, all it really did was establish their strength. Essentially, it showed they're kind of evenly matched. But you know, as far as just on-screen combat, no, thank you.
Well, actually, like that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. You go.
No, because I was gonna jump on the augment thing, because like she's a descendant of Khan, right? So in the idea that she is like born, or is she a total augment? That's another thing that kind of like,
she wouldn't have been allowed in Starfleet. If they don't allow Lyrians, then she wouldn't have been allowed in Starfleet, right?
Then like she's like just born out of people. So how is she stronger?
Yeah, I don't think she is.
I don't think that she
was just she's just an average person,
and we don't know.
There's balance, basically.
Yeah.
Like, she's as strong as this other person. They were just kind of trying to show that they're even.
I'm gonna bounce off of what Hawk said a little bit. Like, obviously, I have different feelings about this episode. I thought that Rebecca Romaine was great. I thought that Detective Una was awesome. I love the scene where she's like investigating Uhura's little hut and like trying different positions and figuring out like why she didn't get sick. I love those little moments. I am gonna read Odd Potato his comment, because it is very true, and I will give to this one thing. The punch was so bad. There was a punch in the last episode between other characters, and it was a similar vibe. I swore you could see the space between the hand and the face. I will say the knockout punch to Alan was not good. But did it take anything away? Yeah, did it take anything away from it? No, like it's fine. There's bad choreography in every single TV show. It's fine. It like I agree with Hawk too. It was meant to more like, okay, this is how we get to the cure. If
it's bad because it's the first season, fair enough. If it's bad because they're trying to copy TOS, I have a problem with it.
And obviously we'll see, right? Like, you know, 3 episodes in, we'll see. Finally, right, guys, Una fills Pike in on her big secret, and also apologizes to Lon for lying to her, because being an augment for someone named Noonien Singh is a big fucking deal. They bury the Hadja via some fresh strawberries. Whether they're fresh or not remains to be seen, because, you know, the Enterprise. Pike, of course, rejects her resignation, as someone like Pike would do. These two seem to have like a very, very strong working relationship. This goes all the way back to the cage. No. What? Oh, ship. No. I disagree. No, we're not. I'm not shipping that.
No, he doesn't.
No. They have a very strong working relationship. Well, I guess what did we think about this moment between the two, and how much does this kind of add? We've been talking about how great of a captain and man Pike is. Like, how much does this add to that?
I mean, Pike can do no wrong at this point.
Yeah,
that's pretty much my view on this. Is He's pretty much like the most perfect human being. It feels like almost like there's no mistakes this man can make, and if he does, he just looks too adorable that we can't even feel for example, when they had the whole ion storm happen on the planet, he gets his like puppy dog look in his face and he's supposed to be scared. I'm like, oh, I want to hug him. So yeah, in terms of like his relationship with Una, I mean, there's clearly some like real strong bonds there between these two people that we have not really heard a lot about yet, and I'm sure we'll learn about it as we go on. So I mean, yeah, but Pike is just. He is perfect.
It's so true.
That's all I have to really say about this. It's really his scene more than it is Una's in a lot of ways.
Yeah, fair. Yep.
Again, the relationship is super cool. There's no ship there in that. I mean, if you go back
as Yum Yum Pod said, Pike only loves his horse. We know this.
Exactly. But
no, not Pike and Una.
Oh.
Una and Lon.
Oh, Una and Lon. Well, there you go. Okay, yeah.
That's some weird taboo stuff. They're like mommy daughter kind of thing. Like what are you into, Giraffe?
What?
What? You just got called out
mommy.
on your smut,
she was
Giraffe.
Like, that is.
Well,
not
she did
true.
find her as a kid, right?
He's big space mom.
She is kind of big space.
But
mom.
she was a cadet. She was like what, a 20-year-old, and she was what, a 15-year-old. They have like 5 or 6 years different. Like,
Go ahead.
Anyways, yeah, great moment between them, and that of course Pike isn't going to take her resignation and that, and that's not just him being like, super cool, laid back captain guy and that, but like, obviously with what we know about Pike and where his life is going and that, he's really learned to kind of let the little, not little stuff, but what he recognizes as inconsequential, he'll let that fall away. What was I going to say? Anyways, on her end, though, I don't like, her little log entry at the end and that she's obviously harboring a lot of self-doubts about their own relationship and that, Pike is good with her in that, but she's not sure in that. She said, do I always have to be a hero before it doesn't matter? So
deep stuff.
It is deep stuff. And you know what? I don't think that Pike would have had a different reaction. Like Matthew said, like Pike's kind of perfect. He knows where his character strength. Even if she didn't save the day, he still knows her value, right? Like, and what she brings to Starfleet. So I don't think that he would have had a different opinion or a change of heart. So
I think that's more personal on her end and that. Yeah. And it's probably what drives her to be as good as she is in that.
Agreed.
For me, I think the very important thing is when she said that they don't terraform the planets and they change themselves. And I thought it was really good because the whole terraforming planets, as you know, pisses me off to no end. Because you know what? We're just going to destroy like whole ecosystem because there's no sentient life form. Oh, fuck the animals and the plants, I guess. Like, or like, it's a barren planet. It's not barren. This must probably be something that you don't see or you don't care about. So I really like the fact that the Illyrians make themselves adapted to the place where they want to live. And I think it's a beautiful idea. And it's how I think new Star Trek is starting like to review these weird old Starfleet ideas that sometimes you're like, yeah, you should not be doing this.
Actually, can I make a note before we move on about this particular scene since we're talking about it?
Yeah.
So this is the art school background I've got that I bring up so often in my podcast. So we're looking at Pike's office, and I'm going to see if I do this correctly on my screen. There we go.
Ooh, nice.
So there's Pike's office. I took a screenshot of this because it's kind of important to, I guess, point out what I want to talk about here. So you notice right where my finger is supposed to be showing up, but there we go.
The horse.
So we have a statue here of a soldier on a horsey. So this is important in art because there's actually, the validity of this is still up for debate, but typically in art what you'll learn is when it comes to these kind of statues of soldiers and horses, the number of feet or the number of hooves that the animal is on is important to the relation of the person riding it. So for example, if a horse is on its hind legs, that means that the person riding it died in battle. I think that if it's on like 3 legs from I'm always forgetting how it is, but it's so yeah, it's like if they're in action, it's that they died in battle. If it's, I think, 3 legs, it's that they've died from wounds in battle. But if they're kind of like up in the air, essentially, that means they died from unrelated causes. And so I look at this and I see Pike has this here. I wonder if this is like meant to be a reflection of Pike's thoughts because he knows how he's going to die.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I'm thinking
Very
here, like, Is there some? I mean, there's obviously, you know, they're thinking about what they're doing with their set design here, and I feel like that's just there to tell us something about Pike and who he is and how he's looking at his own life and everybody else's life around him, because this is pretty much dictating his entire decisions now as captain. He knows his own future, he knows his fate, and while he is still struggling with that, as we saw in episode 1, I think at this point he is coming to terms with that, and that's very much shaping his views on just everything, everyone around him, and his reactions to everything around him.
What a great catch! Like,
you just like brought like the IQ of that show, like our show, the podcast. That's what I meant. Like,
I'm
way high.
blown away.
Yeah.
Absolutely blown away.
But a set designer with an art background would definitely take that into consideration, wouldn't they?
They
absolutely
totally would. Wow, awesome! I love that. So cool. Let's stay on Pike and Spock, right? Because they get the kind of B plot this week. They're on the planet. Spock was dicking around with research.
Dicking around. Good choice of words.
Hey.
All the vitamin D, baby.
Vitamin D.
Spock figures out that Illyrians were trying to reverse engineer their augmentation so they could join Starfleet and the Federation, because the Federation has a very strict no augments because Khan. They end up destroying themselves incidentally over this because they were doing this kind of like anti-augment thing and didn't have the things that Una had to you know, get this weird vitamin D disease out of their system. The essence that is left of those Illyrians who die from this ion storm, they end up saving Spock and Spike. Oh, I called Spock Spock or Spock Pock. At least I didn't call him Spike. Spike, yeah, Spike.
Good tag team.
Very good tag team. They end up saving Pike and Spock from this deadly radiation. What do we think about the B plot this week? It was very B plot.
I was actually really into the B plot. As little attention as it was given, I actually liked it a lot because I wanted to see more what this mystery was all about. I did like seeing, I guess, you know, how does Spock essentially deal with the supernatural elements that we're kind of being presented with here. And same, like I said, with Pike and his little puppy dog face when the spooks are coming through the door. I like that moment very much. So I was into this. I had a feeling that they were going to be like protective, and that worked out. So yeah, yay for me being validated. But besides that, yeah, I like when that happens. You know, I enjoyed that moment. I liked how they're kind of like trying to, I guess in some way maybe atone for what they believed as their past sins were as well. Like they're trying to let everybody know, like, you know, we're not the bad guys you thought we were.
Yeah. And
this is how, then they're showing it through their actions and then also through their words, as we see a little bit later on.
Yeah, because Una very much does the same exact thing with La'an, right? Except not through, you know, showing a magic tube with the gold, like it coming out all ghostly and Spock's like, fascinating. Yeah, Hawk, go ahead.
It was okay B plot, although I think it was a little anemic, you know, possibly a vitamin D deficiency.
Hey-o.
Oh.
Oh, is it worthy? I think it's worthy.
Get off my
by
face.
one thread to not make all the dirty joke every single time one of you say that. I want to say very proud of myself.
I'm not. Go ahead.
You wanted to say that maybe Spock's ears aren't the only thing that's pointy in this episode?
Oh.
Feeling your spotlight.
Yeah, just
you can come back.
That's what she said.
Oh yes!
Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, this got good. Yeah.
All the points.
All the points. Go ahead, Hawk. Continue. So rudely interrupted.
Yeah, it was okay. It was more for our edification to the backstory of the Illyrians than any actual kind of meat on the bone for the plot. So, you know, all the action was happening aboard the Enterprise, you know, but that's okay. I like that the show can, you know, distribute story among its crew.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I think that's what I'm really looking forward to. I hope Discovery takes a beat from it.
They should.
Yeah.
I thought the B plot should have been the A plot.
Okay.
Like the name of the show, the episode is Ghost of Illyria. Dude, you're not gonna help these poor people? Like, we're so short people. You don't explore the place. I was like, oh well, that looks like a dope place. Like, what's happening in there, you know? And I have to say that I read too many fan fictions because, like, when they started, oh, we're stuck by ourselves on the planet during a storm, I was like, hey,
that phasers are not safe for work.
No, they're not.
So yeah, I I wanted to know more, and especially what you said about like Spock seeing the ghost. Were like, I saw that, and like, oh, he's gonna melt inside. Like he's not gonna be able to deal with any of this. And I was a bit disappointed that Pike were not like, oh, there are ghosts, it's haunted, just to like make Spock, go haywire about how illogical this is. So I feel like there's a lot of like lost opportunities, and every time I watch, I'm always like, oh, it's 50 minutes, and maybe they shot way more, and they just like compressed everything into 50 minutes. But that's not what I wanted to see. I don't care about Hammer like getting into a core. I want to know what's going on the planet, and basically most of the plot they forget about them. Like nobody's talking to them. I know they can talk about to them.
I was about to say they can't.
The captain is there. Like maybe mention it. Like I don't know. Like I know you have shit to deal with right now, but I was a bit disappointed that we didn't know more, and especially at the point where Spock finally figures it out that they are people. They're just like, oh, poor people. Goodbye. It's like, they saved your ass. They're absolutely sentient.
To be fair, they left the room.
They took off as soon as they finished.
They were like, peace out, bye.
What, you're gonna write a report and that's all? Like,
no,
you don't even like try?
I'm sure they will send a ship to do some
They're
more.
gonna send the Cerritos. That's what is going to happen.
Yeah, second contact, baby.
They'll send a lovely fruit basket to their planet.
I think they're being practical too, because like at that point, what are you going to do for these people?
It's not like you could reincorporate them.
Yeah, just been converted into spiritual energy.
Yeah.
Beam them into the transporter.
Who wrote
them
it in the chat?
pattern
Someone wrote that the electric aliens, the electric Illyrians felt very Doctor Who, which I agree with. It was a very Doctor Who.
And there was like so many episodes like in Voyager with like this idea. I mean, literally right off Kautoka, you have like these like photon people, right?
Yeah.
That like
a little different. That's a little different.
No, I know it's a little different, but like just don't leave them be. I mean, they were literally human people that were here. Like just I don't know. I got a line about like maybe we should try to cure them. Like Mbenga is speaking about like, going to the star to find like new cures. It's like just leave these poor guys
I think there's a massive difference between trying to find a cure for a rare leukemia and trying to cure basically what is basically spirits. Like those aren't people anymore. I know.
If Dr. Bashir was there, he would have stayed on that planet until he found a cure.
I mean, you're
Thank you.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Frontier medicine.
That's the Star Trek I want.
Yum Yum
Cowboy
Pod writes,
diplomacy and frontier medicine. Bing, bang, bang.
I was craving. Go ahead, Matthew.
I was just going to hop on the word endemic being used, or something like that. Basically, we're talking about the timing. That's kind of what I wanted to mention here was how I felt like this episode in some ways was also a little bit rushed, which might have been for the benefit of it also. On my second rewatch, which I did before we did this episode, I didn't intentionally do this, but I did want to check the time of like, at what point do they wrap everything up and do they then go into their closing statements? And basically it's a little over 30 minutes by the time they actually get their solution, which leaves us with about 15, 20-ish minutes to then like do all the wrap-up talk, which is La'an and Una talking, Pike and Una talking, and Benga and Una talking. So all that stuff kind of took up a lot more of the episode than I guess I was expecting it to take up. So it definitely felt like, this whole Pike and Spock subplot was probably missing some things here because they kind of just rushed to the finish line in some ways. And it wasn't a bad thing because, to be honest, every Star Trek in the first season, within the first 5 episodes, it's a rule. They have to have a contagion episode.
It's true.
So I feel like they were just kind of like, let's get this out of the way. Let's move on. Let's at least get ourselves some good character development out of this, which was usually what we don't see in those contagion episodes in the first seasons. So they were trying to basically fix the mistakes of their forefathers. But perhaps maybe in that rush, in that haste, they kind of forgot to tell us more about the ghosts.
Fair.
Which is the title of the episode.
Ghostbusters of Illyria.
It's true. Yum Yum Pod wrote, I was craving more banter between Pac and... I did it again. Pac and sticks.
X-Pac and Spike.
X-Pac and Spike. More banter between Pike and Spock in the plot. I agree. I love their banter in this episode. I did want more of it. Let's get into Mbenga because Mbenga had a very large role and had a very big secret that was revealed in this episode. He starts getting very twitchy when Hemmer starts poking around with the medical transporter, which seems to have prevented the main transporters from preventing the contagion to come on the ship in the first place. Una calls him out on his secret at the end, and we find out that M'Benga is keeping his daughter in the transporter buffer a la Scotty and what they pulled in Discovery Season 4 in the subspace rift. She's dying from a very rare form of leukemia. What did we think about this very heartbreaking revelation and that M'Benga, which is, I feel like is the whole essence of Star Trek. I think Draft, you already mentioned, like that's the kind of the whole point of Star Trek, right? Like having hope in the unknown.
I feel like this episode is such member berries, and Strange New Worlds is very much member berries. Like, hey, member relics from TNG, you like that episode? Here's a little bit of that in this one too for you. I mean, you want to talk about C-plot. It's like, wow, that kind of came out of left field. It's cool that they've established this character thing about him, but it's like they just threw it in the very end. And to be fair, I also feel like it is a very Star Trek kind of thing to do. Like, if you watch any episode of TNG, especially, like, it's usually the last 5 minutes where everything is finally just at a head. It comes together. Oh, here's our Deus Ex Machina that solves the problem. In this case, not necessarily the problem solver, just that we're dropping this big bombshell of a thing here that M'Benga has his kid in a transporter beam, which is cool but weird. I don't know what it's going to mean for the future. It's just kind of, I guess, telling us a little about this guy, which is nice. I don't see how it's going to really affect anything moving forward, though. I mean, unless the daughter joins the crew at some point. I don't know.
She's Mariner. Da, da, da.
What a twist.
Oh, boy. I was a little conflicted about it because, initially I was thinking this is a little fucked up. Like, that.
It's pretty unethical, isn't it?
Kind of. I mean, like, yeah, like I get it. Like there was a 12-week prognosis on this, and it's like he thought that he was thinking fast and, figured out this idea of putting her in the pattern buffer. And, I guess if you were Vulcan, it's a logical thing to do in that. But like, he's a doctor in Starfleet and that. And it's like he knows that they're, even with their medicine where it is in the future and that there's not a cure for everything and that. I'm kind of thinking back to Star Trek 5 and that. I know people don't like to do that, but the moment that McCoy has and that when he's remembering about like
his father
letting his dad go finally and that. And it's like, but that wasn't the end of it. A year later, there was a cure. It's like, if I just waited. Yeah. It's a bit fucked up for me in that, because like what happens if he never finds his cure? He's basically just keeping his daughter in a buffer and that, and every time he pulls her out to read her story and that, and he's going to look older, and she's going to notice that, and I don't know if he's hiding the truth from her. Very weird.
Plot holes, they don't exist. I totally agree. Like I was like, where the fuck is this going with the when he started like yelling at Hammer? I was like, whoa, it's the third episode. We've seen the dude twice and he's already being like sketchy as fuck, yelling on the engineer and so I was like, come on. And I hope it was like a development of the illness and the possession thing, I was like, because that's what we're trying to solve. So I was like, ooh, maybe he's possessed by like, something else. That was like, I was trying like to work it into the plot, what the writer should have done. And then when in the end, like finally he's like, oh, I'm gonna say everything. I almost killed everybody. And I was like, what? Where does that come from?
Well, he did because he said that he never expected that to happen. Like he wouldn't have even done it if he knew something like that could happen. I don't know. I didn't have any issue with it.
It's space. Okay, they see like weird shit all the fucking time. Hammer is like, I need to check your transporter because we have a problem with the transporter because, this thing came through the transporter. And like the doctor is like, no, it's not my transporter. I cannot have fathomed that ever. I was like, okay, why not? And then I have so many questions. How did he got his kid inside the Enterprise to get into the buffer? Like, nobody knew he came in with a kid at one point to like put her in the transporter buffer.
Well, he
like,
could have transported her
like,
from the surface.
And nobody was
Easily.
like, oh, there was a transporter beam and nobody came out.
Remember, he said
had
it
a
was
flash
research.
drive.
He said it was research. He said it
I'm
could have just
thinking,
been.
yeah,
It could
flash
have been
drive.
logged as
A
research.
flash drive. That's
Had a
big as
USB
flash drive,
with
man.
his daughter's information on it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, so basically the plot for any single character so far is like, I have trauma because people have died around me. And I'm like, can we get another type of character, Star Trek? Like, I mean, I'm all about it. I love to read like angst stuff, but so far we have Spock with his daddy issues and his sister is dead. We have Pike who has future death issue. We have La'an who have like all his family eaten by Gorn issue. And now this dude is like, oh, and my daughter is gonna die issue. What is going to be for the other people? Like, at one point, oh, Uhura, oh, my family died issue. Like, can we write something different? But I felt for the kid. She's super cute. I mean, like that story time thing where he's gonna be older every time. Nobody cares because it's Star Trek, and why would it make sense? You know, whatever. And they're just like, oh, we're gonna allocate more power to it. Mind you, that they're on a 5-year mission where basically anything can happen at any time, and they shut off the whole Enterprise like an episode before, but that was not a problem.
I'm going to read
But they shut
MC's
off all
comment
the-
here and agree with this because I think this is very obvious. We're not going to Giraffe, she writes. This season theme is grief and trauma and how it brings the crew together as a found family. And I agree with that.
There you go.
I was going to actually say something on it too, because basically it's, we look at again what episode 1 is all about, and that's basically set the tone for, I think, the rest of at least season 1 is that it's very much that, as Pike is coming to terms with what he is going to have to deal with in the near future, his crew is also dealing with that same thing. So I think that's like our thematic element for this season. But since this is Strange New Worlds and they're not really doing the whole overarching plot thing, I don't know how it's going to go, but yeah.
I believe in Ortegas. I hope Ortegas.
I think she's just a good pilot. I think she's just
nobody
a good pilot.
dead around her, and just like is a badass, and she's just here to kick ass and take names. And I have hope. But
Her pet
yeah,
Targ died.
I was kind of like disappointed that it just came like in like the 5 last minutes. So you could have done an episode on this.
They could have done an episode on it, and I'm sure there will be an M'Benga episode, right? Like we don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come to the defense of this as I don't know if you have kids, Matthew. Having kids, you do the craziest shit for your kids, and you would like listen. If I was given the opportunity, if Cecily or Caleb, God forbid, got something like this, and I had the opportunity to store them in indefinite stasis, I'd fucking do it. Like, I get it. I get his motives. I get, doing something on the fly and not thinking about the repercussions. I don't think that he ever even thought about what could possibly go wrong aboard a starship that, has redundancies and powers that flow like differently. Like, of course you don't think about that when it comes to your kids. So I get it. I like the story. I love at the end. I got a little weepy. Like, I love that it ends with him, like the Enterprise flies away with him reading the story to his kid. To answer the question about, well, why does he bring the kid out? He explains this to number 1 or I forget, to number 1, that you have to materialize them every so often, but pretty much they can be in there indefinitely. So it's not every night. It's just when it needs to happen. So.
Tell that to Scotty.
It's not that I question his motives as a parent for doing it. If I was a parent and the same thing and I had access to it, I would do the same thing. And that it's his motives as a doctor, doing this.
Well, do no
like,
harm letting someone die. Like doctors, like
it's
death
true.
is kind of the last resort. Will he eventually have to make that decision? Will M'Benga have an episode about this? I'm guessing the answer is yes, right? This is something that he's going to have to face. So
You can't cryogenically freeze every single person out there either. And It's also taking away the free will of his daughter and not really taking into consideration what she may want.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know if he gave her the option
we don't know
or not.
anything yet,
We don't know that.
And
yet, so.
let's remember that when the next red shirt just die for no reason, they could have like just froze him into the pattern buffer.
Lightning
and
bolt giraffe.
keeping
A lightning
them
bolt struck
for,
him.
like,
Dead.
ever.
Dead. Final thoughts on this episode, guys. Illyrian immune systems are so good. A cure can't be made because their bodies just wipe everything out of new infections immediately. But because La'an tries to, jump into the warp core, she's able to create a cure using and I kind of scoffed at this a little bit too, chimeric antibodies.
Oh my God.
What do we think about the space magic at the end of the episode, at its comparisons to Naked Now and Naked Time? How did it stand up to those?
60 Star Trek at its finest. I mean, I kind of just threw it away. I was like, cool, we're done with that plot. Let's move on. It meant nothing to me because it's one of those just technobabble kind of endings, and it's like whatever. It doesn't mean much. It's never going to be talked about again anyway. For me, it's just very much a throwaway. I was more curious about what was going to happen at the end, which we already kind of talked about with the other characters, with Pike and Una, and then with Una and Abenga. It was more just kind of give us, get that out of the way so we can get this character development stuff onto the spotlight. I don't care about technobabble endings. That's kind of my view on it in general. That's a general rule for me.
Yeah. You and Who's Amy writes, chimeric antibodies was the best BS since parasitic ice.
Oh my God.
From Discovery season 3, episode 1.
Parasitic
episode 2.
ice.
Yeah, the parasitic ice.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I really wish I had some glitter or something. I would just throw it. Magic dust. That's basically
dead
what they did.
Baby dust.
Pretty much. It's space
Trademark
magic plot device. It cleared it up, for story wise and that. But I liked those episodes where they basically really had to work for the cure. Giraffe, what was the TOS episode in that where they were on that planet with the kids?
Oh, Miri,
yeah. Remember McCoy working with ancient technology, trying to get a cure in that, and the only way he can test it out to make sure if it's safe or not is to do it on himself, and he almost pretty much died.
And then they all forget their phone, and I'm like, nobody forgets their phone, man. Who forget their phone like this? Oh my God. Yeah, and they start, by the way, by saying, oh, look, it's exactly like Earth, and then it's never addressed. Love this episode. See, TOS can do shit like this, but Strange New World cannot. Please do not do this.
I do want to say Talix and Buick are both saying that chimeric antigen receptors and antibodies are a real thing. Whether they're a real thing or not, the way that they're used in Star
bullshit.
Trek is...
The average person isn't going to know that either. I guess the thing, too. If it's basically not shared knowledge among all of us that doesn't require us to dig deep into some obscure part of an encyclopedia somewhere, then it's kind of technobabble. Even if it's a real thing, it's still babble.
It could be real in that, but from a story perspective, and that I still like to see them work for it. In that, basically, we got her doing the weird flashing thing with her body and that, and then cut scenes hey, found a cure. Here we go.
The quickening has devoured me.
Yes, the quickening.
Oh my God. It's they get these dudes stuck in the planet, and it has nothing to do with bringing the cure. And I'm just like, chimeric antibodies? I mean, I laughed out loud when she said it. I was like, fuck you, Star Trek. I love it so much.
I mean, it's a great comedy word. It's got the hard C sound in it, the hard K. It's like chimeric is just a hilarious word to begin with.
And what I was thinking? I was thinking of Kirk, where it's like, antibodies. That was somebody do it. Please, somebody do the Kirk antibody.
Oh my God.
And I don't know. It's so dumb, but somehow I was like you. I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, right. It works. It's Star Trek, right? We buy it because it's Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah, time crystals. Yeah. Time crystals. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Shatterhand 2049 writes, there can only be number one.
There can be only number one.
Only number one. Let's get into our crew member of the week segment. We'll go in reverse order this time. Giraffe, your crew member of the week.
I don't know. Pass. I'll come back. I have to think. I have nothing smart to say.
It's not really one of those episodes to have anything smart to say, unfortunately.
Ouch. Wow. So many different views on this episode. Hawk, go ahead. Your crew member of the week.
It's still Luna, despite plot device, space magic, and that, she was still the crew member of the week in that. Like I said, super space mom in that, cleaning up messes left and right, solving mysteries, and even at the end, doubting whether it's enough. Yep. Absolutely. Crew member of the week.
Nice. Matthew, your crew member of the week.
It's the most obvious choice, and it's really the only clear choice. It's Hemmer.
Ah, okay.
It's Hemmer. The dude transported the mantle of a planet onto the Enterprise and kept it there in a stable place for pretty long amount of time there. That's pretty damn impressive. So I don't care about anybody else in this episode. Hemmer brought a chunk of a planet on board the ship. Beat that. Top that. I dare you.
It's a good answer. I like it.
Very good. Very good.
Giraffe, back to you.
Still don't know. I feel they all like kind of failed the test for everything.
That's why I said Hemmer.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Spock. Because why the fuck not? Like, he started all that mess. He got lost. Then he was like, I have the knowledge. Shut the fuck up. And then he was like Spock met Ghost. I think it's a very important moment for him. And yeah, why not? I don't know. The more I talk about this episode, the more I was like, what the fuck did I watch?
You liked it the first time we watched it together.
I liked it, and then I rewatched it, and I was like, this makes no sense. And then now we talk about it, and I'm like, oh my God, what?
I think we're making a distinction here between basically a very watchable episode versus what a good episode is.
Oh, see, I completely disagree.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very watchable take on a very time-old episode. Like, we've already talked about how it's got so many other things. You know, like, we didn't mention Babel, by the way, from DS9, another Contagion episode.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a Contagion episode. That's all it is. We've seen this again and again in Star Trek. It's just what they did with it made it very watchable. Outside of that, it's a Contagion episode. I don't care.
Yum Yum Pod says Spock told Pike to run. What a hero. See? I have backup on the chat. Lieutenant Spock
Logic.
for doing nothing.
Crew member of the week for me is Una. Una killed it. She's amazing. I love her, and I love Rebecca Romaine in this episode. She was very good. Matthew, you get the not distinct honor because it hasn't happened yet. Still 3 episodes in of reading our new red shirt counter. Which where's my soundbite? There it is.
You're my new chief. Go put on the red shirt.
0, nada, cero.
None.
Zilch.
Yep. 0.
Good.
Sad. Spock sideburn meter. They were fine this week. Nothing crazy, right? They were fine. Nothing
Telling
wild.
you.
Shave those sideburns, Mattingly.
Do something. All right, guys. This is, I feel like, going to be one of the more divided ratings that we do this season. Rating this episode out of 10 cc's of vitamin D for the original order. Matthew, your rating for this week's episode.
Are we talking fanfic vitamin D or like actual vitamin D here?
Oh, that completely depends on you, sir.
I'm going to leave that one for a giraffe to define.
Smut
But,
or angst, man?
that's really the toughest thing here. You know, I'm having a tough time pinpointing a number on how I feel about this one because I kind of just said, I guess, how I feel about it, in that it's watchable. And it's not a bad episode either. It's actually very good for what it is and for what its purpose was and like what it accomplished. I think that's really cool. It's definitely not going to be one of my favorites. I can say it without even knowing what's coming next. Like, I don't think it's going to be one of my favorites. It's going to be one I will only remember, and I think it's probably why they did this. I'm only going to really remember it because this is where they revealed to us Mbenga's daughter. They revealed, you know, Una's background. That's kind of what's going to make this episode more notable. And the Khan name drop too. Yeah. So it's like they basically almost shoehorned those things in there to ensure that people keep talking about an episode that would otherwise be forgotten. So it's tough because if I give it like, I guess it's kind of middle of the road. I'm going to give it just a 6.5, but I don't know. I'm not hating on the episode either, basically. I want to make that clear. It's like I'm giving it middle of the road just because I think that's going to be how it fits in. But it's not a bad episode at all. It's still, you know, if it's a very good 6.5.
Very fair. Hawk, before you go to you, I'm going to go through some of the collective's crew members of the week. Let's see. Someone wrote Hemmer is terrified.
Chalamet.
Yeah, Ensign Chalamet from MC Frodis. No, she says Una. I think Joaquin Sully is going with Spock. Galaxy Star Queen 77, Kyle and Hemmer. Yeah, Kyle kind of saves the day with a transporter at the beginning too. Joaquin Sully agrees with that. Haven gives it to Dr. Mbenga, which I think is also a good answer. Jay Kraft gives it Una, and now we go back into Shatterhand. I think it goes with Mbenga as well. We'll go in our ratings. Hawk, continue with our rating.
I'm going with a solid 8 out of 10 on that. Like, you know, I may shit on a few of the, you know, because, you know, it's fun to gang up on stuff, especially when other people are doing it.
Kick him in the nuts. Like, Channel Mariner, and just like.
Like I said, even if there's still some stuff that we don't, particularly like as far as the way it progressed, and it was a short episode. It was only about 45 minutes.
It was 52 minutes.
Was it 52?
52 minutes.
But it moves really well.
Yep.
Yeah, it does move really well. It looks gorgeous. We haven't even really talked about how gorgeous it looked throughout the whole thing. Yeah, an 8 out of 10. Because even if this is a bad Star Trek episode, it was it's still pretty better. It's still better than anything else that was on this week.
Nice. Giraffe.
I'm gonna go 7 out of 10, and the story by itself 6. But yeah, we didn't speak about it, but I fucking love the TOS music in it.
It's so good.
Every time the theme would come up, and like all the little like sound effect to remind like Naked Time, like that was absolutely incredible. I fucking loved it. I loved seeing the quarters of the lower deckers, which are like absolutely gorgeous. Guys, leave the Cerritos, go on the Enterprise. Like lower deckers have like
flagship
nice
has
cribs.
it nice.
Man, so I like this. Again, seeing Aurora quarters is a thing, in TOS. It's like one of the rare moments where we see the inside of her quarters is in the Tholian web. So I like all this. So they get an extra points for this, but like, man, it's I know it's episodic, but that would be a filler episode. And they get an extra point for knocking out Chapel cold. She got knocked out. We didn't speak about the poor girl. Like Lan punched the light out of her and nobody noticed. Come on.
Nobody was around to notice, right? At that point.
Sorry?
Was anybody around to even notice at that point?
Una found her.
Everybody was like knocked out and like sleeping. And then Una was like, where's Nest? Oh. So yeah, 7 out of 10. Good moments, but yeah, I want to see the next one.
If I was doing a rewatch, I wouldn't skip this one still, though. I'll say that, like, even though I gave it the lowest rating among everybody here, like, it's still totally not a skippable episode. It's still one I could sit down and enjoy, even for a lot of things I didn't like about it. Still good, fun episode to watch.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hawk, you were right. It is 46 minutes. I was wrong. I was looking at all the other episodes. This is, I think, the shortest of the 5 that we got. So, yeah. It is short. Let's go into some of the user ratings. MC Frodis gives it a 7.5 out of 10. I'm getting a decent tan. Jay Krabsout gives it an 8.25. Light Viruses Haven an 8. Maggie Light an 8. And there we go. Galaxy Star Queen, I give it a total of 8.9 vitamin D's. Yum Yum Pod a 6 out of 10. 7.5 from Shatterhand. 9 out of 10 from Joaquin Sully. 9 out of 10 Red Shirts Who Refuse to Die. Yes. Thank you. It is true. I'm gonna listen. This is my favorite episode of the season so far. Is the production quality as good as episodes 1 and 2?
Better than the Uhura episode?
There's something I really love about this episode. It took like 3 times for me to say that, but it did. This is the episode I've watched the most out of besides the pilot. So I'm gonna give it a 9. I really enjoyed this episode a lot. I'm really, really curious where we're all going to stand next week. That's going to be an interesting one. Let's get into the subspace to pole and mailbag.
Shipwide, Cadet Aurora.
Aye, sir.
My girl.
That's your girl. And Giraffe, this is always your segment. Take it away. We asked Trek Twitter what they thought about this week's episode. What did they have to say?
So 75% said number 1. 14% said, give me the light. 2% said, just sedate me. Just sedate me. You've watched Grey's Anatomy, right?
No.
Okay, never mind. 9% turn off the lights.
Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Jeez. We're going to get right to the mailbag. I'm going to read the first one because it's Buick's and I have the soundbite for it, but then we'll go back in the order of the pod. This week, Buick wrote, please tell Carol Ann to run to the light, baby. Mommy is waiting for you. And I do have that right here. I hope you're happy, Buick. I got it there just for you. Matthew, can you please take Haven's mailbag, please?
maybe I shouldn't because I don't have that up at the moment. Let me go get that.
No, that's okay. Hawk,
I
you
can
take.
get it.
Oh,
No.
no,
right.
Giraffe. Nope. Giraffe was first. You could take the next one.
yeah.
Hawk. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Heaven wrote, this was a huge shock of an episode. I'm at loss for words. There is so much to deconstruct. I truly love this episode. The city of Toronto, the planet of Illyria, has never looked more beautiful. This episode gave me a combination of classic Trek, TOS, TNG, DS9. For a single episode reveal, I don't think I had seen such a plot twist for a character since Dr. Julian Bashir on DS9 with his genetic modifications. I also love the shout out to In a Pale Moonlight when number 1 deleted her log.
Oh, sorry, but that was it. That was a short one. Yeah, Hawk, go ahead and take Shatterhands.
All right. Shatterhand wrote, Strange New Worlds knocks another one out of the park with Ghosts of Illyria. Rebecca Romaine and Babs Olasan Mokun. I'm sorry.
Olasan
Olasan Mokun. Both get some center stage time this week and bring their considerable talents to bear as both Una and Dr. Mbenga have secrets that come to light, pun very much intended. From the production values to the actors' performances to the pacing, Strange New Worlds continues to earn its place among the best of Star Trek.
Nice. Do you have the outline up, Matthew? Do you want to take MCs?
MC wrote a PhD.
She wrote a PhD.
Be ready.
MC has sent you guys their college thesis.
Yes.
And
5-sentence limit, people. 5-sentence limit for next week.
I should just warn you all, I have the reading literacy skills of a kindergartner, so
That's
we'll see how this
fair.
goes. In some ways, I'm glad it took 56 years for number 1 to get her backstory, because I know we wouldn't have gotten anything like this. I don't think Roddenberry would have ever allowed Una to be physically stronger than Pike, or to be anything but a flawless Starfleet officer. I have some problems. They found a cure basically because they ran out of time, so the writers kind of shrugged and it was done. I also thought that the Pike and Spock stuff had more attention than necessary. We didn't get anything of them as characters, nor did I ever feel any sense of peril, and the twist as to what the creatures were felt obvious. However, the stuff with number 1 and La'an was absolutely stellar. You can see how much they cared for each other. Now kiss. When we heard about La'an, we all assumed genetic modification would be revealed. It is much more galaxy brain to have her be fervently anti-augment and to have these revelations about number 1. I'm shocked that 3 episodes in, I'm so invested in their friendship being restored, despite La'an still having misgivings. I'm a bit sad that I personally didn't have as strong a positive reaction as a lot of folks did. I was riding pretty high and looking to keep going up, but this was still an incredibly solid episode. When I thought this was really good is your low point, that speaks incredibly well for the series. And MC, I totally agree with you on that as well. That's part of my feelings, I think, as well.
And I think we've all said that, right? Like, I mean, I know Hawk and I gave it higher scores, but like you two very well said, like, listen, it's still a really good episode, right? Like there hasn't been a bad episode of the show. Go ahead, Giraffe.
And it's still a first season of a new show in Star Trek.
Exactly.
So
I'm gonna take Mel's, and this is Mel's first ever mailbag for the pod. So
another thesis.
to be fair, she didn't know the rules, so I gave her a freebie. This episode was amazing on so many levels. It started out in a much darker tone than the previous ones, but it turned out to have a wonderful but tragic message. The whole story about the Illyrian colonists trying to de-engineer themselves so they could join Starfleet, and the Illyrian ghost protecting Spock. I'm gonna.
Wow.
Sorry. I
He's
try
Spock
to move
forever
away
now.
from
He's
my
Spock forever
microphone
now.
when I'm laughing now.
Why? Because I deserve to be laughed at there. Pike and Spock during the Ion Storm are a big fuck you to all who think in stereotypes and always assume the worst in people. Nice. The reveal about Una is shocking, but not because it makes her a worse person. It will have a significant effect for her character, and maybe that means that she'll be on landing parties more often. We now have a Vulcan, an augmented Illyrian Una, and most likely a genetically advanced La'an by inheritance. That makes her an incredibly badass bridge crew. Agreed. As for Pike's inner fight with his fate, this episode, in my opinion, provided some indirect hints. I saw the indirect hint when he's like, no, let me, like, you guys go up, I'll get Spock. needs of the many first, like thinking about the greater good. He did showing some anxiety and fear, especially when the ghost broke through the steel door. If he's 100% certain that he cannot die until he rescues the cadets, why would he fear the ghosts and the storm? I think Una brought that uncertainty back to Pike in the last episode when she said maybe his fate is what he makes it, and that kind of reset his sense for fear and caution. There's still his plot armor because we know his fate, but at least he begins to act like a normal person would in a dangerous situation. What bothers me about this episode is that Una and Vega seem to keep his daughter in the transporter buffer a secret to Pike. I don't get why, though. Una just learned in this episode that she got Pike's back, or Pike's got her back, and she can confide her secret in him. Why would she keep yet another secret from him, even if it's not hers? I'm just going to quickly say, I don't necessarily think that they're going to keep it a secret from Pike, or they did. There has to be a report on this. There has to be some...
I'm pretty sure he knows.
Yeah,
he says that he's super close to Mbenga, and they went together, and he went to his family. I feel like that would actually explain how she got into the transporter, because Pike knows.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think Pike does know. What if he finds out?
They're going to give it a dedicated energy source too, which means
exactly.
they gotta know what's happening.
There's a paper trail for that, right? What if he finds out and Una knew about it? Wouldn't this do some damage to the relationship? I think it would if Pike didn't know, but I think Pike knows. I do think that Pike knows. We are back to, since we started with draft, Yum Yum Pod.
Yum Yum Pod wrote an enjoyable outing this week on Strange New World, but also a bit of a sloppy episode at times. Loved all the stuff with Una, and this episode has raised her up. And this episode has raised her up the rank of favorite characters on this show. I'm sorry. See, like reading Rainbow with Giraffe is a tradition here.
It's reading Rainbow.
Yes. In theory, we like the way Pike's acceptance of Una could have been taken as only being an acceptance of her success, but it's a hard pill to swallow considering how chill, compassionate he is as a captain. If it was Picard or Janeway, we can easily see the struggle a crew member would have in regards to this, but Una having this doubt in regards to Pike just doesn't ring as true. Being a huge fan of medical-based episode of Star Trek. Medical? I think there's a letter missing. Medical-based episodes?
Sure.
Of Star Trek?
Sure.
Yeah. Being a huge fan of medical-based episode of Star Trek, it was a joy to see one again, as it has felt like modern Trek doesn't really have them all that often, if ever. The Doctor's tragic secret is cool, but feels kind of shoehorned in here. Overall, we like the idea and scene, but this episode was already pretty stuffed with twists, turns, reveals, and dynamics, and this one could have been in a whole episode following him. I agree. We'll say that Mbenga's story reminds us of that one episode in Enterprise in which the inventor of the transporter is trying to save his child. Yep. Yeah, that's a horrible one, by the way. It's a good episode, but it's a horrible story. The big weakness for us is Lan, and how the writers have thus far consistently given us very awkward and clunky exposition in regards to her. The natural flow of scenes and banter just halts to tell us that she's indeed related to Khan and that she has a tragic past. Just wish they could spread that information in a more smooth and subtle way like they have been doing for everybody else so far.
All right. Huck, can you take Collins, please?
All right. Colin D wrote a very short one. So, except for similarities to Disease of the Week vibes, I found very little fault with this episode. There was so much packed into 45 minutes, yet I didn't feel rushed or what just happened. Hammer with his Uber obsession made me laugh. He was the apex of the ship-wide obsession. Una's scenes with Leon and Pike were my favorites of the show. Dr. Mbenga's story didn't resonate with me all that much, though I do like the character. Overall, I like the episode 9 out of 10.
Nice. Matthew, take us home with Jesco's, please.
Jesco wrote, the crew's reactions to getting the Mothman disease, as I'm calling it, were pretty funny. I loved how the actors really leaned into the excessiveness of it. especially Hemmer literally grabbing a hunk of magma to quench his need for heat. Kudos to the writers for using heat instead of light for our Anar. I also probably didn't say that right either.
No, Enar.
Yeah, I never know how to say these words.
That's
Words are hard. Reading is difficult.
No.
Hey, see? Welcome, reading Rainbow with Giraffe and Matt.
Take a look. Look somewhere else, please. I'm not reading anymore. La'an and Una's fight and resolution was handled really well, too. I'm glad they talked it out. That was really great to see the crew facing this head-on. I agree with a few others here that we maybe spent a little too much time with Spock and Pike, and that Captain Screw the Prime Directive Pike is the last captain I'd expect to enforce an arbitrary rule that would make his best first officer have to step down. He's chill as a cucumber and pretty lax with the rules. All I can think is that following protocol was the easiest way for Una to have that conversation with him. Keep it impersonal. Overall, another awesome episode in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jesco.
Thank you.
Reading all this, I have a question. So what was the episode about? Was it about racism?
I
Isn't
think
all Star
it was,
Trek?
racism and just.
But like some people are different, but it's good. I was like, the end, I was like,
I think
I
it's
see
just
you
about
trying
the
to tell me
world's
something, but I don't see it.
xenophobia in general, right? Like
no bigotry on my bridge.
Yeah.
It's about how 4 guys got together and started a business in a firehouse to become paranormal investigators and eliminators, and also Star Trek.
Oh my wordy.
Who are you gonna call?
Guys,
Hemmer.
the Hemmer, we are getting to the end of our episode, but before we do, I want to say, first of all, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on and joining us finally. It has been an absolute pleasure. Before we go, this is your time to plug away. Tell us where we could find Trek Untold. Tell us about some episodes and guests you have coming up. Where can people find you?
Well, first off, thank you guys again for having me here. It's been super awesome to chat and get nerdy and all the Star Trek things I don't get to normally do on my kind of show. Which, again, for folks who don't know, Trek Untold, weekly interview series. So every week I interview folks from across the Star Trek universe. So if you didn't like my opinions on this episode of Strange New Worlds, don't worry. You don't get to hear my opinions ever again on my own podcast. It's all just talking to the guests. I say nothing. So you can check it out on all major audio platforms. It's on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever the heck it is Amazon's doing with podcasts these days. Pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, I am there. Audio versions are every Thursday. And on Sundays, we release the video version on youtube.com/nerdnewstoday, which is my YouTube channel. It has a bunch of other stuff there too. So yeah, if you don't like listening to podcasts and you prefer to watch it, like maybe you're watching this right now on Twitch, go ahead to YouTube on Sundays, and that's when you'll see the latest episodes there as well. And you can follow me at Trek Untold on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I do have a TikTok, but I haven't used it yet, and I don't think I should, because I don't think people want to see me dance or sing. So, yeah, Trek Untold. Follow all the things.
Oh, man. It has been an absolute pleasure. And I will say real quick, you did a great episode during our Picard week with Hawk and also from...
Jeff from the
Thank
Starship.
you. I was about to say Jeff from
Academy.
Starfleet Leadership Academy. Just a great episode on Jean-Luc and trauma. So if you want, you can check that out on both Matthew's channels as well as ours from our Captain Picard week. That was a great episode. So
thank you. Yeah, I feel like it's a little more we do.
It was weirdly fun to talk about trauma.
Right? Yeah. No one should have that good of a time talking about people losing body autonomy.
Indeed. Matthew, again, it's been an absolute pleasure. That is going to do it for this week's episode. So for Giraffe, for Michael, Hawk, who I usually just call Hawk. I don't know why I called him Michael this time, but I did because it's on my screen. And of course, for our guest Matthew from Trek Untold, I am Julian. Live long and prosper, Majram, and good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.